Alright guys, so today we're going to check out a pair of true wireless earbuds that completely surprised me. And the pair that we're going to check out are the Sudio E2 Hybrid Active Noise Cancelling Earbuds. Now this pair does come in at 129 bucks. It's also available in 4 different colors. But what surprised me about this pair is we've checked out some other earbuds from this company before. And although I've thought the sound on them were pretty decent in the past, I felt like the company focuses a lot more on the design. Just having this very clean, simple look. And I've always liked the style that they've had with their products. But it seems like with the E2s, they decided to just go all in with everything else. They focused more on features. They pulled out some sound that I definitely have not heard in their products before. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what all comes inside the box and see if it's worth the $129 price tag. So let's go ahead and start with the price, because at 129 bucks, there is definitely some really good competition out there. But Sudio decided to do an early bird offer where they're actually throwing in their own branded wireless charger. And so that already tells you that this pair has Qi wireless charging. And inside the box, they also include a USB-C cable because you can charge it that way. And they've also included 5 sets of ear tips. And it's definitely important with this pair to make sure that you're getting the right seal, because this pair does have active noise canceling. So you want to make sure that you're blocking out as much sound as you possibly can. But we'll talk about the noise canceling in just a second. Some other things about this pair that surprised me is it does have an app that's dedicated to this pair. Really the only thing that you can do in here is you can switch it between some different EQ settings. And you can also go through a hearing test where it will try to just give you an EQ setting just based off you being able to tell it what all sounds that you can hear. But once I went through the hearing test, I felt like they were way off on the EQ setting that they set up for me. So this may just be more of a gimmick, but it is a feature that these have. But other than that, the app does let you switch between the noise canceling on or normal mode or the ambient mode. It also allows you to switch it into this Dirac feature, because Sudio did work with Dirac to be able to give you spatial audio. And this is a feature they pulled off very well. Most other earbuds and headphones, when you switch it into a virtual surround sound mode, it's basically just reverb. You're hearing echoes so that it's basically making you feel like your audio has more space than it normally does. And this pair doesn't have that echoey effect. It just kind of separates things slightly and it pushes it back just a little bit. So it doesn't sound artificial. In fact, I was very impressed with this because I thought this was gonna be one of those features I just kind of skipped over and didn't really think too much about. The plus about this is you don't need to have tracks that are specifically made for spatial audio. It's just trying to separate things and space them out to just give you that feeling that you're listening to music more in a live environment. Now, as far as some of the other technology, it does have Bluetooth 5.2. It only has SBC playback, which I thought was strange, but I didn't have any kind of compression when it came to my audio. I also didn't have any lag when it came to movies or videos, and I did have a slight lag when it came to gaming. So as long as you're somebody that's watching movies or TV shows and just listening to music, it's definitely going to be fine for all of that type of media. But if you're a gamer, this is not one of those pairs that I would recommend for that. But if you're also looking for this pair to use outdoors, it does come in rated at IPX4, which is kind of the norm when it comes to noise canceling earbuds. They usually don't have much of a higher rating than this. So it's gonna be protected against splashes and rain and sweat and things like that. But definitely make sure you don't submerge this pair into water. So now moving over to talking about the noise canceling and the ambient mode that these have. I felt like the noise canceling was done very, very well on this pair. I definitely don't think it is comparable to the Bose or the Sonys, but I think in its price range at the $129 mark, it definitely has noise canceling that's comparable to other models in this range. If you're somebody that's looking to just block out engine noises and air conditioner units and anything that just kind of has like a lower tone to it, this pair does an excellent job with that. But I feel like when there's people talking or if a TV's going on where again it's more focused on dialogue, those higher tones are still coming through just like they would any other pair of earbuds. But the ambient mode on this pair, I felt like they did a very good job with. In fact, I would put this on AirPod Pro level ambient mode because it didn't have this high-pitched digital noise like a lot of other ones where the mics just seem a little too sensitive, but I was was easily able to hear my surroundings. You could definitely carry on a conversation without actually having to take these earbuds out. So they definitely nailed the ambient mode when it comes to this pair. Now moving over to talking about the battery life, since we're talking about all of these different sound modes, this is where it gets a little crazy because depending on how you're gonna use these, there's so many different battery levels that you can get. Because if you just decide to use these just out of the box in normal mode with nothing turned on, you can get it about 6.5 hours out of the earbuds with about 30 hours using the case. But if you decide to use the direct mode, which I'm gonna tell you now, this is the mode that I left it in pretty much all the time. It brings your battery life down to 5.5 hours on the earbuds and about 25 hours using the case. But if you decide to just use just the noise canceling and no direct mode, that brings it down to 4.5 hours on the earbuds and about 20 hours using the case. But if you decide to turn everything on and have the noise canceling and the direct mode on, the battery life is only going to be 4 hours on the earbuds and about 18 hours using the case. But if you do happen to pick your earbuds up and they are dead, this is one of those pairs that has a very impressive fast charge feature because you can pop them back in the case for 10 minutes and get 2 hours of use. And I'm one of those people where this feature comes in handy because I don't always make sure that my earbuds are charged all the time. So I do like that these have this feature. But moving over to looking at the actual earbuds and the case themselves, Sudio again went with this very smooth texture on the outside of both the case and the earbuds. It does have a really clean look. In fact, the only branding is just Sudio embossed on the front of the case. Now on the back, you can see the USB-C input for charging, and you also have a pairing button. And then moving back over to looking at the front of the case, you can see that there is a single indicator light, and this is what allows you to gauge how much battery life is left on the case. But moving over to looking at the earbuds, you'll notice that they do have the stem style design. It's not one of those long, obnoxious looking stems, but you'll also notice that there is a glossy material more so at the top of the earbud. Now this is where the touch controls are located, and Sudio is again proving that you can have a bunch of features on an earbud and still allow your earbud to give you controls over everything. Because with this pair, you can play, pause, skip your tracks forward, go backwards. You have your volume controls. You have the ability to switch it between normal mode, active noise canceling, and your ambient mode. And you can also switch it into that direct virtual surround sound mode, all from the earbuds themselves. And that's a huge plus because the app does not allow you to switch around your controls. So it's nice that they're giving you control over everything right out of the box. Now for you guys that do like to use your earbuds for phone calls, Sudio is using what they're calling Vivid Voice, where the microphones are beamforming mics that are focusing in on what you're saying and trying to block out a lot of your surroundings. And I feel like with this pair, they did a pretty decent job here, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here's a mic test using the Sudio E2s. And again, I think it does a very decent job of picking up my voice. I feel like it sounds a little more natural than some of the other earbuds. It does still have a digital noise to it and a little bit of warmth, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test for the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound, because once I saw that these had that spatial audio or virtual surround sound mode, I thought it was going to be a gimmick. Again, this is something I'm familiar with in a lot of other earbuds. It just usually doesn't work very well. And because it doesn't have that echoey concert hall effect, it is done so well on this pair that I left it in this mode all the time, but it only worked well in that balance EQ setting. If I changed it to bass mode or treble or anything else and I left that direct feature on, the audio never sounded good. So this is the way that I listen to it. Just keep it in balance EQ setting, turn that direct mode on, and the audio quality is fantastic. At least if you're somebody that is a bass head that still likes your treble to be very bright as well, because I felt like what it did with the EQ setting is it pushed the bass up quite a bit. The bass was definitely punchy. It had this really thick feeling to it, but it was also fast. So when I listen to genres like metal, where the double bass of the drums is going pretty quickly, this pair had no problem with keeping up with that. And same thing with the treble. The treble had this really nice bright feel. Every little detail just came through again, even with that punchy bass, which is surprising. So it just made it nice to switch between all different types of genres. And the mids, no matter what I was listening to, always felt forward. It just felt like it was pushed up just enough that if things got chaotic, you would have no issue being able to still hear the vocalists. If you're listening to something that's acoustic or easy listening and country that's just more stripped down to an acoustic guitar, simple drums, and not a lot going on, this pair excels over some of the more expensive pairs. And that's saying a lot. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but the vocalists definitely sounded more upfront in these type of genres. And that Dirac mode made the soundstage and the sound imaging extremely impressive on this pair. Now, again, it didn't give you that really just wide open concert hall effect. It just pushed things back just enough and spaced things out just enough where you can hear the separation in different instruments. It just pushed things back and it left the singer just more up front. It just kind of had more of a live feeling to it. So my overall opinion is this. For $129, that is definitely a lot from a company that you may not be familiar with. I do feel like this pair is lacking those high-end Bluetooth codecs. I do also feel like the battery life is just so-so, and the app on this pair is not that impressive considering a lot of this stuff you could just do from the earbuds themselves. But the sound quality alone, mixed with some very decent noise canceling and a spatial audio mode that doesn't really sound gimmicky, is what makes this pair stand out. And this is what made this pair a complete surprise. This is definitely a high recommendation for me. So guys, that wraps up my video on the Sudio E2 Hybrid Active Noise Canceling Earbuds. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.